Thanks for coming in early, everyone. We still have a couple of minutes before we kick it off, but hi Casey, hi Aaron, Spencer. Nice to see that you're here. Hi Leonka. Yeah, you're welcome. Love to be here. Hi Laura. Hi Jessica. A good memory, Athens Olympics in 2004. Yes, Andrew, that was a good memory. I spent a week there. It's the best time ever. I guess I have to keep my glasses on. I can't read otherwise. Hi Preston, good to see you. How do you know about Special Olympics? Laura, I will explain that to you. I'll introduce myself and give you my background, how I got involved here. Hope you can hear me okay. Kiefer, just want to check in when you start recording. Maybe you already have started recording, but are we starting on top of the hour? Hi James. Rachel Ryan says hello. Hi Rachel. This is pretty fun. Loud and clear. Hello Carla. Wyatt. Nice to see you all. It's 7 o'clock. We should get started soon here. I'll just wait a few more minutes for some people to come in. Hi Sarah, I remember you. Let me guess, did you do athletics? It is exactly 7 o'clock now. Hi Darian. Darby. Darby is in the house. This is great. So I'm going to get started. Welcome to Maximize Monday with Special Olympics Alberta. I guess it's the 6th session in a row, maybe 5th or 7th, I don't know. My first time. And I'll tell you what my first time is as well. Facebook Live. Thank you, Kiefer. You're just helping me out 10 minutes ago with setting all this up. I've been on a lot of other platforms. I've been on Zoom a lot. Who has been on Zoom? I do Zoom meetings a lot. I also use Microsoft Teams and Skype and Doxy, all kinds of platforms. But this is my first time on Facebook Live with Special Olympics Alberta. 6. Thank you, Preston. You must have seen them all. So welcome to Maximize Monday. I've been able to watch a few other sessions. You know, session with Johnny. Session with Shanice. She was talking about the power of words. I've seen Jody Flanagan on the show. She talked about believe and positive thoughts. And it's a great program. I'm really excited to be part of this and to hang out with you on a Monday night and maybe teach you a couple of things or tell some stories. And I'm ready to go. So this is the Special Olympics Alberta Peak Program, and I was just wondering, are you reaching your peak yet? Are you on your way to reach that peak that you have told yourself to go to? Yeah. Have you been setting goals all this way to stay active and healthy? Are you keeping track of your progress, of all the activities that you're doing? Super good, super important. Are you accumulating points? I understand that there's a whole point system attached to this. So you'll get points for this session as well, I guess. So I'm supposed to give you a password, but I'll do that a little later. I'm working hard at it. Good to hear, Leonka. I'm reaching my peak, Darby. That's excellent to see. I'm keeping track. This is so fun to see how you guys are listening in and getting answers. And again, for me, a first. It's always a good time for firsts. I was a little nervous to start this off because I'm not familiar with Facebook Live. But you know what? It's always time. It's always a good time for firsts, and I'll figure it out, and I'll be okay. And that's something that I'm going to talk about today a little bit, about being nervous or not knowing what's going to happen. So we'll get into that. I'd like to maybe explain a little bit about myself. I've been working with Special Olympics Alberta for 10 years, on and off. It started 10 years ago in 2010. And after I came from the Vancouver Olympics, I was invited by Johnny to join Team Alberta for your National Summer Games in London, Ontario in 2010. That was my first go-around with Special Olympics Alberta. And it was super fun, it was super successful. It was the time of my life, and so I've ever stayed with Special Olympics Alberta ever since. Not all the time, I also do other work, but that's really cool. In 2013, I joined Team Alberta for the Winter Games in St. Albert, in our own province. And that was just as much fun. And one small story there was a bit of an outbreak. Obviously no coronavirus or COVID, there was just the cold or the flu, I can't remember. But people were getting a little bit sick, so we had to keep distance. And we couldn't shake hands anymore and give hugs. We had to do the elbow thing. And that worked just fine. Jessica, you were in London, Ontario, that's great to hear. Welcome back here. I welcome myself back. 10 years, thank you. So in St. Albert, I worked with cross-country skiing and figure skating and snowshoeing. I was just wondering, are there any snowshoers here? Or maybe figure skaters? Or maybe bowlers? Or maybe floor hockey players? Or maybe alpine skiers? Or maybe soccer players? Just put in the chat what your sport is. I love to know because I always want to know who my audience is. And although I do a lot of the same work with all these different sports, it's always good to know about how we can maybe change it up a little bit specifically for you and specifically for your sport. So just on snowshoeing, I've been snowshoeing a lot, last winter, and since we are in this lockdown, this pandemic, I snowshoed 175 kilometers. Just to stay active, just to stay fit, just in between my work. So that's what I did. I have a lot of snow around my house, so what do? I put my snowshoes on there and I just stomp on the snow. And that was a good time. I actually look forward again to snowshoe again shortly. We don't have enough snow yet, but bocce, curling, bowling. Thanks for giving your answers here. Alpine skiing, soccer. That's great to hear. Great to see. But I don't work with Special Olympics all the time. I also do other things. I have worked with Team Alberta for the Canada Games in 2009, 2011, last year, 2019. And I'm going to do it again in 2022. So Team Alberta, Special Olympics Team Alberta, but also Team Canada within the Olympic Games. So the sports I'm currently working with in my regular job is alpine skiing and luge and wrestling and paracycling. So those are some of the main sports I'm involved with, and I spend a lot of time working with those athletes, and these days all over Zoom or like we do now with Facebook Live. So welcome everyone. I really am glad to see all the response on the thread. It's too much, I can't read quickly enough. Preston plays basketball, thanks for letting me know. Also a cool sport to do. Cross-country skiing, Sarah does. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about stress, and more importantly, how we can manage some of the stress. And so here's the point. You know, stress happens. Sometimes we get stressed out. Sometimes we get a little nervous. Sometimes we get a little anxious. And this is a quite normal process for a lot of people. I would say all people. We are all at some point stressed about something. And we're stressed about something when we think that we can't do something. Or when we're stressed about something when we're very, very, very busy. Then we get stressed. So it's really about challenges that hit us and we don't quite know how we're going to do through it. And I'm just going to ask, and you can put in the chat again, what other challenges are stressing us out? And I already see Laura saying that coronavirus is stressful. Yes, indeed. That's not an easy one. Yes, managing stress is very important with this COVID mess. That's why we're doing this, because we can do something about it for ourselves, for our own health. And that's what I'd like to talk about. So what are some other challenges? What are some other situations when you get a little stressed? What are some challenges that make you nervous? I'll just give it a few seconds. Looking for a job. That can be stressful. I agree. You don't know if you get the job. Maybe, but maybe not. And so that is quite stressful. COVID, of course. For me, it's not seeing all my friends from bowling. Oh, that is not nice. Dealing with family sometimes, I agree. That can be stressful. Yeah. Taking a bus every day, I can see that. Being laid off work can be stressful too. Good examples. Not being able to travel, missing my friends. And again, COVID. So how about public speaking? Does that make you nervous? How about the big game? Can that be stressful? Dealing with babies can be very stressful. Siblings, yeah, all the good examples. This is exactly what I wanted to ask you. There are so many different things that can cause some stress in us. And we want to understand what that stress is and how it works and how it impacts us and what we can do about it. And so we're going to spend some time on that today. So as you are putting all your answers in the chat, it's really good for you to know what causes stress in you. So write down the top three. These are the three things that stress me out sometimes. I know that I get nervous when I think about one of those situations. It's always good to know what situations may have that effect on you, because then you can also prepare for those situations, maybe a little bit better, a little bit different. So I have a next question for you. Let's talk about how you notice, how you know that you're stressed. What are the signs? What are the signs that tell you that stress is happening? And you can think about signs in the head. You can also think about signs in the body. And I'll share you what my signs of stress are as well. But I, again, would like to take the time here to just get a few examples about what stress can feel like, can be like, can look like in some of us. Fidget. Yes, fidgeting can be a sign of stress. That's good to know. The neck is tight. Yes, the neck is tight. Maybe the shoulders. Maybe some other parts in the body that are tight. I get mad. That's a good example. Headaches. I start to cry. Not sleeping as well. My heart races. Yeah, you get into a panic. Stress upsets my stomach. You know, you start to maybe feel a little sick, or you don't feel as great. And so it is not nice to be thinking about these signs of stress, but they're super important. Pain in your arm, biting your nails, picking at your skin, chewing nails, yes. So it's not nice to be thinking about these signs and symptoms of stress, but it's super important because they actually tell you something. They're actually telling you that your stress level is ramping up. So you can use them to your advantage. They can be a tell sign for you. They can actually tell you, oh, wait a minute, I don't like it. I don't like this as much. This is not as great. Maybe I should stop this if I can, because I don't want to continue with this. So these signs are good to know that something is happening to you. Now I tell you what one of my signs of stress is. I start getting really hot in my head and my face. I start dripping sweat just from my temples here down my cheeks. So temperature is different. I get hot, I start sweating. And so it's really good to know what actually those signs are for you, because then you can actually listen to them and maybe see if you can start to change that around. And I like the examples that I hear here about I can't concentrate, because now we're not so much talking about the signs in your body. We're actually starting to think about what are signs that are kind of coming through our head. Difficulty focusing, concentrating. You're kind of distracted all the time. Now in a previous session, Jody has also talked about the type of thinking you do. You know, we often think, we sometimes think. Do you sometimes think? And sometimes you can think in a way that is kind of helpful or helps us or is soothing. Sometimes we're thinking in a way that is doing the exact opposite. We're actually getting more mad or angry or anxious or frustrated. And our focus changes. You know, it's not only that we can't concentrate, usually our focus starts to narrow down, only that you can think about or see only one thing. And you forget kind of what is outside of that picture as well. So that's why you sometimes hear, you know, take a step back. Okay? Take a step back, take a minute, and just look at it. All right, there's more. There's not only this thing. There is actually a little bit more. I actually can see more. I can think about more when I look around. It opens your eyes. It opens your mind. So sometimes when we're kind of closed in, we actually may want to open up. Open in our bodies. Just taking it a bit of a different posture. Open our eyes, maybe look around. And just immediately feel a different sensation because you're opening up rather than closing down. How do you like that? Do you think you can open up sometimes? Open when you're sitting? Open when you're standing? We're going to do some of that. And so it's really important again to know what those signs are, because they are starting to tell us that something is maybe off, or maybe something is important and we're not quite sure how it's going to go. And then all these things start to happen. Signs in your body, your neck, heart is racing, in your stomach. I get hot, start to think differently, can't concentrate anymore. So those things may happen. Now I want to talk a little bit about the kind of the number, the amount of stress. Okay, if this is if this is everything, If this is no stress, and this is all the stress, okay? No stress is when you're sleeping well, okay? You're just kind of relaxed. You're kind of out of it maybe. You can't really perform when you're sleeping, so your activation level needs to come up a little bit. That's why you do a warm-up, I think. It's just to start, have the blood, let the blood start flowing. So you're bringing it up from really low to a little higher, because that's what you need to actually do something well, to perform, to train, to run, to jump, right? And this is maybe a good level for a lot of us. For some people, this is good. They just need a little bit more energy. I think it makes a difference. What do you think of bowler? Does a bowler need more stress or a little less stress? A little more energy or a little less energy? And what does a power lifter or a sprinter need? Do they need a little less energy or a little more energy? So it can differ from person to person, and it can also differ a little bit from sport to sport. So we have to kind of figure out what that good level can be. Okay? And if this is the good level, then we want to make sure that we get to that level. If this is the good level, then we want to make sure that we get to that level. And we'll get there. But what happens if the stress mounts, the energy mounts, the activation mounts, all the way to the top, to the max? Then very likely it's going to start working against us. When we have this level of energy, with all those signs and symptoms that you're talking about, it starts backfiring. It starts working against us. Why? Well, how good can you move when your muscles are tight at this level? You can't move very well. You can't throw very well. You can't run very fast. It's just too tight, too much tension. If you're feeling sick in your stomach, does that help you? I guess when I'm sweating, I can still do it. I start to get warm now, but that's not because I'm stressed, I guess. It's just because I'm getting warm. That's another way to think about this. This is not always only coming through stress. I can just get warm. This jacket is actually quite warm, so that's why I start to feel my forehead, and it starts to get warm there. So when we're at this level, it starts backfiring to us. So what we want to do is we want to bring it down. This way. We want to bring it down to that level that works for us. If this level works for us, we want to bring ourselves down there. Maybe this is better. We have to figure that out. So what we do here is bring it down and relax or chill. Okay, we bring the energy level down. Super important, because then we're starting to loosening up. We're starting to open up. We're starting to use our senses and our body in a better way. Okay? Now, if you're too low, you want to bring it up. And I call it activation. You activate a little bit. You warm a little bit up. You do something that raises kind of the energy level. So what I'm trying to say here is that there is an area that is maybe around here that is probably best for a lot of us. For some it's like here, for some it's like there. But not like there. And not like there. Does that make sense? Thank you, Darby. So here's the question. What can you do? Because the fact that we're too high happens more than we're too low. And we often don't like it much when we're too high. When we're too low, we're too slow, we want to kind of bring it up. But this is kind of more problematic for sport and how you can actually do well. So we want to bring it down. Now, what are ways that you can bring the energy level, the stress level down? And I've written down a whole bunch here, but I'm sure you come up with all kinds of good ideas about how we can bring it down a little bit. How can you bring your stress level down? How can you bring the energy level down that causes some of those signs of stress? Deep breathing, like that. Deep breathing. Meditation. We're going to do some of that. We're going to do some of that breathing. Music calms me down. Yes. You can use music quite well. Yoga, music, breathing, stress ball. Guess what I have here? I have a stress ball. Painting, I like that. Singing, running. Close your eyes. Pray more. Listen to music and talk with friends. I like that too. That can take a lot of the stress away. Personal time out to calm. Yeah, I knew you were coming up with all these ideas. Yeah, music, FaceTime, talking to friends on FaceTime. So, I had almost the same list. Using music. You may want to choose a song that is soothing, that calms you down a little bit. Not a song that amps you up, but a song that is kind of mellow and makes you feel better. But not only music, some other sounds can be very helpful too to soothe. For example, sounds of the ocean, like the waves coming up on the beach, or maybe even the sound of rain, or of a waterfall, or maybe birds chirping. There's all kinds of apps that you can use, or maybe YouTube may have a lot of that as well, where you can actually listen to those soothing sounds that helps you calm down. Breathing, we're going to do some of that. Reduce the tension in your muscles, loosening up, we're going to do some of that. How about enjoying nature? It's winter now, maybe it's not always that great. Unlike you're maybe like me and like snowshoeing and be out in the snow on a nice sunny day. I'm talking about nature. Even pictures of nature can be soothing, can be nice. Dogs, pictures of dogs. Cuddling with your pet. Elena just put it on the chat. Exercise, yeah, you can go running, you can go training, but maybe even walking. I call that moderate exercise. And when you're doing moderate exercise, when you just walk, you just make the blood flow. You make the blood flow through your head and through your brain. It provides oxygen. It can be very soothing. A lot of people have the experience that when you go for a 10-minute walk and you come back, you feel much better. I actually did that this afternoon. I was a little bit stressed, a little bit nervous for another presentation I had to do. And 15 minutes before, I just went around the block and had just a nice, easy walk. And it just calmed me down. Drawing, painting, I saw that in the chat. Playing music. Not only listening to music, playing music. I'm not sure if anyone plays music, but I know athletes that do, and they can actually, play an instrument and play the piano for a little bit, and makes them a little easier. Talk it over with others, with friends, with coaches, or with me, with all kinds of people. Talking things over can be very, very helpful. And one more thing is actually to write stuff down. Take notes. Journal. A lot of people I work with, they keep a journal. Maybe not every day, but most days or often, and they just would, write down what happened that day, including what may have been stressful. You play a didgeridoo, Spencer? That is pretty awesome. I don't know how to do that. Awesome. I love going on long walks. Good. See, these are jigsaw puzzles. I like that one too. Video game, yeah, I journal. So that's great. So these are all ways that can help us. And I want to make it very clear that there may not be one way that is best, but you can do different ways, several ways, that together may really be helpful. Now remember, maybe we want to kind of eliminate the stress altogether, okay? Kind of get rid of it. That would be great. But if not, can we bring it down to a level that is more manageable, that is more acceptable, that is more okay? Rather than being up here, kind of being down there. And what you're doing is you're taking the sting out of it. Why? We can be okay with a little bit of stress. Actually, I think that a little bit of stress can actually help us. Why would a little bit of stress actually be good for us doing sport? I'm going to give you some answers, but I always welcome your own suggestions about why a little bit of stress can actually be helpful. What is it with stress that can be okay or good? You know, one way to explain it, and I'll read your chat in a minute, one way to explain it is actually that I see it as energy, as a form of energy. Maybe it's a bit of nervous energy, but it's still energy. So if we can use that energy, we may actually be able to run faster or do well. A little bit of energy is actually good for us. So can we use that energy in a good way? Can we actually put it towards our movement, our sport, our performance? Because if you have no energy, it's probably difficult to be doing well as well. So again, that's why I'm saying that kind of level in between is kind of where we want to be. It motivates you. I like that, Elena. I mean, yes, it can actually, you can actually think about it in a way of, you know what? I know this is difficult. I don't know exactly how I'm going to be, but I'm going to do my best. And I think I can. So it can actually have a motivating factor. You're just thinking about it in a different way. It's like a boost for competition. Yes, you need some of that adrenaline. These are great examples. So, I'm going to show you a couple of ways to bring it down, and you probably have done it before, but you're going to do it with me, the way I teach it, the way I help athletes with it. And then we're also going to bring it up a little bit, because I'd like you to know that you can do different things. Okay? So, we're starting with breathing. Now, breathing is super cool because it's always with you. Right? Yeah. You can always turn to your breathing. You don't even have to ask someone else for it. You can just do it yourself. We're breathing right now as I speak to you, as you're listening and chatting here. And I'm having a little bit of a quicker breath because I'm talking so much. So I'm going to slow it down, and I'm inviting you to slow it down with me. And I say this on purpose because we want to slow the breath down. Okay? We want to slow it down, we want to make it rhythmic, and we want to make it comfortable. So slower, rhythmic, and comfortable. Now I welcome you to do what I do. And you just sit on your chair. I assume you're sitting on a chair, maybe on the couch. And I'd like you to sit comfortable on your chair or couch, which means that you're sitting with the back in your backrest like that. Both feet on the ground. I'd like you to put one hand on your belly. And maybe in the beginning, one hand on your chest. And what we're going to do is we're going to focus on breathing through your belly. Try to breathe as you're feeling your belly come in and out against your hand. Your hand is a guide. You can check if you're breathing through your belly. Now usually this works better if you allow your eyes to close. If you want to close your eyes, you can better focus on yourself. If you don't want to close your eyes, you can just look at the screen and follow my voice This is going to just take a couple of minutes. And just notice how you're breathing through your belly. And as you're breathing through your belly, just notice how your whole body is resting on your chair or couch. And how it can be easier with every breath you take. Now I'm going to close my eyes too. So I'd like you to start noticing the rhythm of your breath in your belly. And the key to rhythm is time. So give yourself time for the in-breath to come all the way in. And give yourself time for the out-breath to come all the way out. Again, take your time for the in-breath to come all the way in. And take your time for the out-breath to come all the way out. Think of each breath as a wave in the ocean, and the waves never rush. Sit back, relax, and just enjoy a slow, rhythmic breath. Just notice how it makes you feel more comfortable, at ease, relaxed. And you could do this for as long as you want. I tend to like it, so I may do it a few minutes, and if your mind wanders, just bring it back to your breath as you inhale, as you exhale, and go back to that slow rhythm. And you can do this for as long as you want. You can just go over some of the highlights of the day. You can visualize your performance in sport. Or you can just think about something that's just really nice. And at this time, you can open your eyes. It's the end of the exercise. Now I have a few questions that I would like to run by you. Okay, I'm going to get a little closer. And the question that I have for you, first of all, were you able to tune into your breathing and make it slow and rhythmic? That was nice, Darby. That's good work. You know, this is it, that's the only thing you want to do, is to tune into your breathing, slow it down, and tune into the rhythm. And a slow rhythm of your breathing has a really good effect on your body and mind. Just do it for a minute, maybe 2. If you really like it, you can do it 5. You can do it to help you fall asleep. What I like best, if it's summer I guess, is to lie flat on my back on the grass and tend to my breathing and making it nice and slow, lying flat on top of the earth. So that's my way, my favorite way of doing it. But I can do it sitting, I can do it standing, maybe we'll do it standing as well. Anyway, tune into the slow rhythm of your breathing. That's all. Now, when you're learning this, maybe you'd like to practice for a minute or 2, just to get into it, just to know what that rhythm is like, how it can ease your body and your mind. You feel better. And when you do it for a minute or 2 or 3, then you'll learn also maybe how to do it quickly. Maybe a couple of breaths, maybe 3, maybe 5, but really bringing it down just a notch. That's all you're doing with that particular practice. Now I'm going to read a few chats here. Yes, 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 I was able to tune in and do rhythmic. I did it lying down. I like that. It's really super good to be doing it lying down. Yes, yoga has a lot of this breathing as well. It's just a wonderful skill. It's a wonderful skill to have, and you have it always with you. And it eases some of the stress. It's super important. It's like people that are a little bit stressed out, I advise to do this maybe twice a day for 5 minutes, just to bring it down, because you're ramping up in your stress levels anyway. Well, why don't you do something to bring it down again? So that's one way. I feel good. Do you guys feel good? And we're going to do one more that's a bit different, and then we're going to do something different. Now, I already showed you that I have a stress ball here. The red stress ball is like a squeaky thing. I also have another ball. It's made of a bit of a plastic ball. I have these things on my desk. Even before tonight, I also brought a tennis ball, because maybe you don't have these balls, but maybe you have a tennis ball, or you can get a tennis ball. And even if you don't have balls, do you have a water bottle? Okay, you can use all these different things. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually work with our muscles. Okay, someone said in the chat that one sign of stress could be tight muscles, tight neck. And yes, our muscles tends to tense up when we are getting up in that stress level. And that's not really working well in sport. We want to kind of be loose. We want to be strong, but loose. We can be both, I think. So we want to work on that. Okay? So one thing that I want you to do without the water bottle or the balls here, I would like you to just make 2 fists. Strong fists. And I'd like you to squeeze those muscles in your hands, in your fingers, maybe in your forearms. And just hang on to it for a little bit. Just feel the tension creeping up in your fists. Yeah, you can feel it. And now you can let go. Let go of those muscles. Let your arms drop. And just notice the difference between when those muscles are tense and when they are loosening up. It's a very different feeling. It's a very different sensation. And we can do that with other body parts as well. Why don't we do, at this time, fists and arms? And just squeeze those fists and those arms, those biceps. Curl those biceps. And just feel the tension. Like I start to tremble as hard as I do it. And then you can let go. Let go. And let those arms and hands and fingers all relax beside your body. And just notice the difference between when those muscles are tight and tense and when they're loosening up. Now one more part in our body that we're going to do is our shoulders. And what I want you to do is raise your shoulders beside your ears and tense those muscles. You feel it. You feel it in your neck. You feel it in your shoulders. Keep it up there. I know it's tight. And now you can let them go. Okay, let go of those muscles. Wiggle those shoulders and make sure that those muscles can come back to loose. And start noticing the difference. Start noticing the difference from your neck and your shoulders, down your arms, into your hands, and out of your fingertips. And I'm wondering if you're noticing the same as I'm doing, is that those muscles in my fingers and hands and arms and even shoulders are starting to feel different. Because we're taking the tension out of it. We're loosening them up. First we tense them, then we're loosening them up. Okay? Alright, we're going to do one more piece, and this is where you can use a ball or the bottle. Maybe find something that is around you, that you have around. Maybe it's a ball, maybe it's a water bottle. And I'd like you to hold it, but just hold it. So there's no tension in your hand and fingers, but you're just holding it. Okay? Now I'd like you to squeeze those fingers and the hand a little bit around the bottle or around the ball, and just start noticing that it starts to feel different. And hold it up a little bit. And now I want you to relax those hands again until you're just barely holding the bottle or the ball. It almost falls out of your hand. And this is a very good trick that you can do anytime in sport. When you're skiing, you're using poles. When you're playing floor hockey, you have a stick. Let me think. When you're bowling, you have a bowling ball. when, let me think here. So you can use those, you can actually check in with yourself, and that's the whole point. Am I tense, tight, or am I actually loose? And which works better in sport? The tight kind or the loose kind? One more thing that you can do is maybe you want to stand. I'll stand here. You can't see my face anymore, but that's not the point. I would like you to kind of just start shaking out easily your arms and your fingers. Let those fingers like wiggle around. You're moving your hips a little bit. You're trying to check in. You're trying to make it loose. You don't want to hold any tension. So that's what you're doing. You know what sprinters do when they're in front of the block before they go off? They shake their legs. Why do you think they shake their legs? Because they need them. They need to be strong and powerful for sprinting, but they also need to be loose so they can actually use those muscles well. What do swimmers do on the block? They're shaking out their arms. They're making their shoulders easy and loose. And you can take a breath when you do that. Okay, now I'm going to sit down again. And I'm just going to try to read up on what you're saying. It does feel great. Yes, I feel good. Nice. Alpine poles, yes. Feel great. Feel good. Nice. Jazz. Nice. Very good. Very nice. This is what I want you to know. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to feel. Is that even when we're getting up with those stress levels, that we can do things to bring it down. Remember the music, remember the breathing, remember the shaking out the muscles. All good things to be doing. Okay. Now, do we get too tired to be doing something well? Likely not, because when you're getting into a competition, when you're doing a drill and training, you're probably ramping it up anyway. So I don't think that there is a concern with that. But what if you want to indeed raise the energy level just a little bit? If you want to raise the stress level just a little bit because it's better for your performance, what would you do? What would you do to activate? That's the next question. What would you do to activate? What time are we? 7:46. Okay. What would you do to activate? Now, what I sometimes do, what I used to do when I was doing athletics, I would slap my legs like that. You feel the tingle. You can also clap your hands. Okay. I know skiers, cross-country skiers and alpine skiers, they throw snow in their suit because it's nice and cold and it chills them up and it makes them awake. Jumping jacks. That's a good one. How about good words? Jump up and down 5 times. Yes, all of those things. So if I would ask you to do that, your activation level, your would go up again. What I'm trying to tell you is that you can bring it down for good reason, but you can also bring it up if you need to. And I think both is important to be working with. So it is time for a password almost. Shake my head. I like that one too. Rub my body. Yes. So this all tells me that you can do different things to really manage those stress levels. I'm not going to go into the words, but you can use a lot of different words that are helpful. You can tell yourself something you're good at. You can tell yourself something you want to do. You can tell yourself that you have a lot of skill or a lot of preparation that is helping you. So it may not be the first time that you're doing this. Music is a great motivator. I agree with that. You can music to amp up as well. Let's go. These are great examples. So I'm going to close it down shortly. Tickling, I like that one. That's going to wake you up. That's going to make you a little active. That's going to make you jump up and down. That's great. It's been so good, so fun to be doing this with you. I hope you learned a couple of things. Maybe you already know some of these things, but you know what? If you've heard them before and I tell you again, maybe it's good. Maybe it works. And I wish you a lot of practice with this because every athlete can become better in this and it can help you out when it matters, when you need it. So I encourage you, these types of skills and strategies that we worked over, practice them. Practice them tomorrow and practice them 3 times more this week. So you have a good start. And then you can kind of see what you learn, see how you do, see what you can do with it. This has been great. Thank you again. So I'm going to share a password with you. And you need that to keep track, I believe. So you can earn points. And you want to reach the peak, you want to reach the top, you want to do well. So for today, the password is orange leopard. Write it down. Repeat it in the chat maybe. It's the orange leopard. Orange leopard. Password for today's. I wish you a great evening. I'll see you again. I hope you enjoyed this and wish you a great week. Have the best week. Bye. I love your comments. Thank you. You're welcome. It was great. Wish I can hear you instead of see your chat just going nuts all the time. Too much to read up. Stay safe. You too, Leonka. Thanks. You're welcome, Ryan. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good evening. Stay safe. Good night.